Hello, Shay Eskew. How are you doing, young man?
If I was any better, I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, I agree. So, Shay, you are an Ironman Foundation ambassador, Ironman finisher. You qualified for the World Championships through the VR series, and congratulations on that. That's fantastic.
Thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun racing the past 6 weeks and really enjoyed the distraction from COVID.
Well, Shay, I told a little bit of your story how when you were 8 years old, you were kind of you were set afire on a gasoline fire. 65% of your body was burned. You lost an ear. You went through like 35 surgeries, and you would hear all the time from people, well, you're never going to be an athlete again. You can't do this again. You can't do that again. But in a very short period of time, you were out there playing baseball. You were doing the things the other kids were doing. What do you think, because you're 8 years old, you're not that worldly. We don't know that many things, but there must have been something burning inside of you that you can look back at now and say, this is what it was. I want to keep moving forward.
Yeah, for me, Mike, it's always been motivated by people telling me I can't do something, call it a chip on your shoulder or whatever. But when people tell me I can't do something, I spend every waking breath trying to prove them wrong. And I'll never forget the doctors walking into the room. This was after they had amputated my right ear. My right arm was physically melted to my side. It took 3 years for me to lift my arm up. Had to learn how to write left-handed to finish the third grade. And it was just being given that kind of drastic measure that, hey, you will never do this again. It wasn't a possibility. In their mind, it was definitive. And so for me, it was just a goal to get out there and compete with everyday kids. Like, I knew I wouldn't be good. I was the last kid picked on the school ground. Nobody wanted me, but all I wanted was an opportunity to compete. And for me, that's what Ironman speaks about. For everybody, they've got their own story. Everybody's got a story, right? And it's not about being the best. It's about being your best. And that's kind of what started for me getting burned, is just give me an opportunity and let me go from there.
And then you took that opportunity. You were an all-state wrestler in high school, which I'm enamored to because I wrestled in high school and college. So we kind of know what we're made of. You're a father of 5. And what's that?
I said, can you still fit in your singlet?
As a matter of fact, I can. We won't go there. I don't have any of my singlets left, but I read something you wrote about 3 things that you always want to do. You work hard, you push yourself even though the odds are against you, and you always have that positive attitude that you never ever want to give up. You have been now almost 40 years, just less than 40 years after that accident. And isn't it amazing how today that accident set your mindset?
It is. It's funny, Mike, when you look back, some would say, man, what a tragic event. I can't imagine as an 8-year-old what it was like to go through it. But now that I'm on the other side of it, I said, I was so lucky, right? Look at what all I've experienced. Here, I thought I'd never find a girl to look beyond my scars. Now I've been married 18 years. I've got 5 amazing kids under 14. I've achieved everything I've wanted to achieve in sports, have a great career. Tell me anything in life I've ever missed out on. Nothing. Did I have to work 5 times as hard as everybody else just to be average? Hell yeah, I did. But guess what? It meant 10 times as much to me because I had to work so hard. And that's one of the things that I feel so lucky that I learned at an early age. Adversity is a part of life. Don't fight it, embrace it. And just because you worked hard doesn't mean things are going to work out. But if you commit to never quitting, things will eventually work out. And that's why I've just learned over the course of time, things will work out. Maybe not the time frame that you want, 1 month, 1 year, even 5 years. But if you just keep working at your trade, not giving up, and just trying to figure out what can you do better, it's always going to produce something that you're proud of. And it's always looking for that silver lining. Just like when Worlds was canceled this year, I traveled down to Patagonia in March to qualify for Taupo, New Zealand. Fortunate enough, I got a slot. Things worked out. And then to find out months later, the race is canceled. And at first I was a little disappointed. Now look, because the virtual racing series, I'm able to compete in St. George next year. So it's always the silver lining. Just keep going, keep pushing, don't give up.
I love that. And you also, the VR21 is this weekend. I'm sure you're going to be racing in that Penticton 5150 course. But being this is a lot of age groupers out there in the same boat as you are. You competed, you're a multi-time Ironman finisher, and then VR comes along. Did you think the VR series was going to be able to fill the void of doing those live races and have that competitive spirit?
Honestly, at first, I kind of dismissed it, kind of like everybody else, like, great, another virtual event. But then I said, you know what? Look at this as a challenge. Look at this as a way to race yourself. So then I started saying, what could I do to kind of enhance the effect? So I do all the long runs in the hottest part of the day when it's excruciatingly hot. And then you start realizing just how important those aid stations are during the race, right? When I'm out here running through the park, I've got water bottles stashed in the park, and I'm hoping nobody comes by and drinks them. But I'm running through the park looking for my bottles. And so these are just elements that add to the challenge. And on top of that, it's the mental side. Like, you don't realize in a race how much you feed off the other competitors, knowing that you're not the only one struggling. You can see it in everybody else and you feed off that, right? But in the virtual series, it's a whole different mental challenge. It's just you out there, you and your thoughts. And so I think once you start looking at things as, hey, maybe this isn't ideal, it's different, but different can be better as well, right? So just see it for what it is and try to figure out, how's this going to make me a stronger, better racer? And that's kind of the way I've approached this.
That's what we've heard too. And even when I get on VR and do the bike rides, you've mentally got to be on your game. You can't sit there and go and relax a little, or I'll look at this guy up ahead of me because he's not up ahead of you. You're in your pain kit. So you've got a sense of humor I love too, Shay, because you have a prosthetic ear. And I've talked to a lot of athletes, prosthetic arms and legs, but you've got a prosthetic ear that at sometimes you'll take off and just kid with people with the humor of it. How do they react to something like that?
Well, to give you an idea.
There you go. There you go. I knew.
It's always fun to catch people off guard. My kids love it. And it's interesting because they always introduce me to their friends. Hey, watch my dad take his ear off. And, it's one of those things that I didn't have an ear up until 10 years ago. And so I truly believe God gives us these kind of shortcomings for a reason. It's to laugh at yourself, but it also sets you apart from people. And so we have a lot of fun. One of my favorite memories, I was going through security at TSA, was stuck in Hartsfield, Atlanta, 5 o'clock on a Friday. And I looked over at the guy working the scanner. Mike, he had a hard day. You could just tell he was done. So I took my ear off and I set it in the tray with my shoes. And I have a backup one because every 2-3 years I have to get a new one. The snaps wear off. So I put my 2 right ears in the tray in my shoes and I advanced it through the scanner. You got to keep in mind, the guy just sees the left side of my face. And we always assume the right side matches the left. So he's working the scanner, looking up there, and all of a sudden you see him stop and he starts looking around. He stands up. He advances it backwards, forwards, backwards, and he's trying to figure out who's punking him, right? So eventually he's just so frustrated, he can't figure out why there's real ears in a tray. I walk through the scanner. I walk over, show him the burn side of my face, shot him a little thumbs up. I was like, he went back to the break room. He's like, y'all ain't going to believe this crap. And so for me, that's what it is, right? Like, whatever is your shortcomings, embrace it. Don't fight it. And the more you flaunt it, people gravitate to that, right? We all have something that makes us different. And I've just realized over the years, that's the stuff that makes me unique. So why should I try to hide that from people?
Well, Shay, you're the only guy I know that has a backup ear.
Yeah. I've got, I think, 3 right now. I've got the last 2 versions. I've even convinced people that I've got Bluetooth built into it, that it's got a GPS tracker. I convinced some people that I can use it for conference calls at work. It's pretty awesome.
Good for you. And your kids, I can just imagine your kids going up to other kids and watch my dad take his ear off. That is beautiful.
Yeah, we freaked out 3rd grade class a few years ago because my son asked me to take it off and pass it around the room. And if you can imagine the look on the teachers' faces, they had no idea. Next thing they know, the dad is passing his ear around for show and tell. And I had a few parents come up to me a couple days later and say, look, we haven't met, but I think you're Maddox's dad. We had a very interesting conversation at dinner tonight about Maddox's dad taking his ear off. So hopefully I didn't warp any of these kids by doing that, but it's always fun.
No, the world isn't exactly how you envision it. And sometimes they have to be shown. Things are different. Things sometimes are different.
And honestly, Mike, it's been a great experience for me with my kids because they're able to learn that not everybody looks the same as you, right? There's some of us with special defects, scars, what have you. And that's what I've always loved about Ironman. It's we embrace everybody. We don't care whatever your disability may be. It's not a disability, right? There's no reason you can't compete with everybody else. And Ironman doesn't give you any special considerations because of that. And I think that's why people gravitate to the sport. It's for once, You feel like everybody else. Nobody's judging you. If anything, people are motivated to see you out there giving it everything. Like, I've never been overly impressed with the pros because I expect that. They're elite athletes. It's the special abilities division that impresses me the most. Like, I can't imagine doing these courses without a leg, without an arm, and some of the other challenges they're overcoming.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, Shay, you are an inspiration, and thank you for being a part of the Ironman Foundation as we both are. And good luck on VR21 this weekend. And congratulations again on qualifying for the Worlds in St. George next year. That is fantastic.
Well, thank you, Mike. And now will I see you in the Ironade Challenge next month? The 140.6 Ironade Challenge?
I'll probably ride 140 miles. Yeah, I'll get that done. Don't worry about it. Well, Shay, thank you very much for your time and good luck on the VR series. And as always, my friend, aloha.
Thanks, Mike. It's been a pleasure.